Imran Khan was once the playboy cricketer who terrorised only Australia's batsmen. But now that he's Prime Minister of Pakistan, he's threatening our freedom generally. He's called for Muslim countries to band together to make Western governments make blasphemy a crime. That he wants them to make it a crime to insult Islam's prophet by, for instance, drawing cartoons of Muhammad. He argues when 50 Muslim countries say that if something like this happens in any country, then we will launch a trade boycott on them and not buy their goods. That will have an effect. Joining me, as always, on Newswatch is Jack Houghton, Digital Editor of Sky News. It's great to catch up with you after a couple of weeks, Jack. Imran Khan, bigger menace to Australia as Pakistan's Prime Minister than he was as a bowler?
Yeah, well, you could certainly say that. I mean, the ability to freely exchange ideas, even if those ideas are somewhat controversial or offensive, it is such an important part of any kind of democratic institution, country, any way that you want to debate. It's just such an important Western ideal. And to have a world leader want to corrode that, it's extremely dangerous. And what's been concerning to me, Andrew, is in the media, there hasn't been this widespread outrage when we get, with other issues which are seemingly less controversial.
I know. If it was the Pope saying we should have a boycott of Australia for mocking Christ, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But look, it's so weird, and it doesn't seem to cut both ways, Jack. I mean, Pakistan will pass death sentences on Muslims who become Christian. You don't see Australia imposing trade boycotts of Pakistan over that, but apparently there is one if we have a cartoon of Muhammad.
Yeah, well, there does appear to be different standards depending on which religion somebody wants to criticise. Christianity, for some reason, has always been this religion, maybe because it's predominantly as one of the Judeo-Christian faiths, a byproduct of the West, so it's seen as something that the left can attack quite freely. And there's this strange thing that happens with Islam, where the left is often silent, even when there's horrors committed in its name. Which is not great. And as a journalist, I obviously want to be able to report about these things, and I want to be able to talk about these things. I think that's just good for society, personally.
Mind you, I have to say that he doesn't really need to threaten Australia because, as from my reading of it, only one Australian newspaper ever published the Muhammad cartoons in print, and that was by mistake. They didn't know. So anyway, I talked earlier about the global warming religion, Jack, how it's making the West weaker and China comparatively stronger. It's a religion of the elites, and it's a religion preached by the national broadcaster, the ABC. Now even an ABC business reporter, David Taylor, tweets, "I doubt there is anyone in Australia can honestly say they haven't been personally inconvenienced or hurt by rising levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere." Well, that's plainly, arrogantly nonsense. What did you make of that tweet?
Well, it's wholly unscientific. There is not a single study that has been published about this particular country, about contemporary global warming issues leading to physical hurt? Is that what he's saying? The biggest problem with this tweet is it's vague. And anyone looking at it has no idea what this bloke is talking about. He hasn't done his research. He should be sticking to the stock market and maybe leaving it to one of the ABC's many climate reporters, because he seems wholly unqualified to be talking about the issue. But to suggest that people are being, every single Australian has been, if he is saying physically hurt, I mean, I know there's a lot of people on the left that are emotionally hurt that coal still exists and we are still reliant on coal. I know that it emotionally hurts people, but it's such an absurd thing to say. And if you look at the replies to that tweet, the funny thing is that the left is actually smashing him because they're saying, well, why aren't you attacking the Morrison government then? And they turn it all political, as they tend to. So you can't win. You can preach and you can be virtuous, Jack, and they will come for you.
Stop it. Oh, mate. And what happened to the ABC edict that the reporter should lay off social media and lay off embarrassing the ABC? I mean, when the business reporter is even preaching this absolute nonsense. Hey, Guy, have you looked at the dams? They're getting full in Sydney. They're much fuller in Melbourne than they've been for years. And by the way, our grain crops have been setting records over the past decade. Not many people getting hurt there. Jack, the ABC Media Watch claims to fearlessly expose sins in the media. I doubt that it'll expose that one. but it seems fixated with preaching politics while turning a blind eye to the ABC's own sins. Last night, though, it had to, admittedly, cover an embarrassment, because the ABC bosses have already admitted to it, where the ABC deceptively doctored a tape of dancers twerking at the launch of a Navy ship to make it seem like the Governor-General and some other bigwigs were looking in rapt attention. In fact, the Governor-General and some other dignitaries hadn't even turned up yet when the dancers were on. But last night, Media Watch host Paul Barry assured us it was all an innocent mistake.
So, did an ABC journalist or editor just get mixed up about who was watching and who was not? Who knows? But the video has now been recut to take out the Governor-General and others who were not there for the performance. So, was the ABC deliberately deceitful, as some critics suggest? We reckon it was a cock-up, not a conspiracy.
Jack Barry says there, who knows how all this happened, but it was a cock-up, he's sure. What I want to know is why he didn't ask his own colleagues how this happened before he told us it was all innocent.
Well, Andrew, we have no idea what happened, but what we do know is that the ABC was not at fault and it was all a mistake. I mean, what a ludicrous suggestion. What an absolute ludicrous. A show that is supposed to be there to hold journalists to account. What a cowardly summation of that entire sordid affair.
Yes, I don't know why they did what they did, but I'm sure they're great guys because they're at the ABC.
Trust him, it's Paul Barry.
Jack
very
Houghton,
trustworthy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
Mate. Thank you.